Hello and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk. I'm davidinark, and what I try to do this each week, although we missed last week, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. What we do is I read through your comments and answer some of the questions you have, address some of the concerns or some of the things you brought up, and then also talk about other things that are going on in general, just to kind of give you my thoughts and insights on, I don't know, just the different ways that I see things. How about that? Basically, we talk. That's what we do. So thank you very much for joining. And I'm going to start with comments. Before I go too much further, I do want to give a major shout out and thank you to War Heroes Gaming. You can find him on YouTube, War Heroes Gaming. And he is one of my well, at this point, he's my only Patreon supporter and has been for a long time. And I appreciate that so much. I know that not everybody can, not everybody will, and I don't expect that out of anyone. But, you know, those folks that are able to or want to, you can go to patreon.com/davidinark. And War Heroes Gaming has been a supporter of the channel from day one. And it means a lot to me. So thank you, War Heroes Gaming, very much for your continued support on Patreon. And man, I really do appreciate that. Because it's been really 2 weeks, roughly, since the last time we did a last talk, I do want to come in and bring in some comments that some of you have asked about. One of the comments, one of the questions, or I guess it's a comment, is when I'm playing BeamNG, my default vehicle has been for quite a while the convertible Burnside. That's actually a mod from a user named Burned, who makes some incredible mods. I haven't seen him in a while, so I'm not quite sure if he's still making mods or not. But there's a mod you can find on the BeamNG site, and if I remember, I'll put the link down in the comments section below. But it's a convertible Burnside, and that just to me is awesome. I love the old school feel of the Burnside, and then to chop the roof off and making convertible coupe out of it. Oh, it's so cool. So that's why in a lot of my videos you see that convertible Burnside, because that I had set as my default vehicle. And in a lot of videos I play with whatever vehicle comes up. I'm not one to go in and just switch vehicles throughout the video, but that may be something that you guys would actually prefer to see. Let me know down in the comments. Would you like to see in the videos that I make a wider representation of the different vehicles, either whether they're mods or stock vehicles? I can do that if that's something you guys are interested in. So thank you very much for that question and that observation. Also, I get a lot of advice or helpful hints for things that you can do in BeamNG. For example, like when you are holding the control key to bring up a node, while you're clicking on a node, you can use the middle mouse wheel to scroll up or down, and it'll change the strength. I know it's there. I forget about it. So it's nice that you reach out and say, you know, hey, remember, you can do this. And then I go, oh, yeah, I can do that. So again, thank you so much. And then as far as Subnautica, lots of helpful hints on different things that I can do in terms of where to find certain things. Thank you very much to Avo Manatee, and I hope I'm saying your name right, but Avo Manatee, about the Sea Glide and being able to press R. That if I've got a battery, pressing R, I should be able to switch the battery out. In one of the last videos that I did, in fact, it may have been the last video that I did, episode 4, I think, I couldn't figure out how to change the battery in the Sea Glide without it running all the way down, which I thought was kind of stupid. I mean, you know, if the battery only has, 4%, why do I have to run it into the ground? So if the R thing works, that'd be awesome. And I do understand, or at least in my brain, I'm thinking I'd have to have a battery in my inventory to be able to swap it out. I can't, if I don't have a battery in hand, then obviously there's not a way to swap that out. So thank you very much for that information. I do have a viewer, Dented Burrito 20, who's having some problems, and I can't figure out exactly what it is. When Dented Burrito 20 downloads a mod and tries to run it, it shows up in the selector, but when they go into the game, it's just a blank screen. And I've actually downloaded the mods that he was having trouble with, and they load fine for me. So I'm not exactly sure. One of the things you can do when you're having trouble with BeamNG is, one, when you get that boot screen, you can clear the cache. That's probably what I would say the number one thing to do is clear your cache. And see if that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, then what I would do is I would load BeamNG in safe mode, which again is one of those options that disables all the mods, and then go into the mods screen, and from the mods screen just turn on the one mod you're trying to see if it'll work or not. If it loads at that point, then usually what that means is you've got another mod that was conflicting with it. So just a couple of things to try. And again, thank you guys so much for reaching out, asking, all that kind of stuff. I get lots of requests for a couple of things. One, or questions about a lot of things. One, do I have a console? And I do not. I don't have a PS4. I don't have a PlayStation. Well, I just said PS4. I don't have an Xbox. I don't have any kind of console at all. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll get a console, but right now I'm a PC gamer. That's what I like to do. That's what I do. And then that actually leads me into the next thing, which is live streaming. And I cannot wait until I can live stream. But unfortunately, with my internet being slow and sporadic and just unreliable, I don't want to start a live stream that keeps dropping, because I know that'll just make people upset. I'm also not necessarily interested in live streaming at 6, 8, 10 frames per second. So that hopefully that answers those couple of questions in terms of consoles and live streaming, that type of stuff. I've had several comments on the first BeamNG mod news and updates, or whatever. I still can't remember the order of the words for that, but that's what it is. It's BeamNG mods news and updates. That's exactly that's what it is. A lot of comments on the first one that I did, and I thank you so much. A lot of feedback. One of the common responses is thanking me for including links to all of the mods that I talk about, and that's very important to me. I hope. I mean, I don't always put a link to the mods in the description. I try to, but sometimes I forget. I need to be reminded, hey, where's the link for the mod? And then I'll go back, edit the description, and put it in. I think it's important that if I'm showing you a mod, whether it's a map, whether it's a new car, whether it's whatever it is, some new feature in any game, really, that is not part of the out-of-the-box experience, then you need to be able to figure out where that is. If I find a mod, then I'm going to link to it, or try to link to it, to make it easier for you to go get that mod. So hopefully that helps out. And again, I appreciate the feedback that you guys are giving me. I had a question from, I don't know if it's The Base. It's BASS. So I don't know if it's The Base 1904 or The Bass 1904. I'm assuming The Base, like the bass, boom, boom, boom. I don't know. 1904. And that is, hey, I'm new here. Is there any video for explanation how the mechanics and the game works in general? Talking about BeamNG Drive. I might want to buy it myself. Is it complicated to learn? Not the part with crashing cars, but the part with configuration. And that is a great question. I don't know off the top of my head if there's a video out there that actually just kind of walks you through, hey, here's what you can do inside the different configuration. Here's how you get into the configuration. A lot of folks use different configurations, and even straight out of the box, there are certain things you can do in that configuration menu. So be looking for that. I'm going to make a video. Again, there may be other videos out there, but I'm going to make a video where that's exactly what we talk about. Just if I get BeamNG, if I buy BeamNG, then what can I do in terms of the configuration of the different vehicles, just out of the box. No mods, no anything, just here you go. What can I do with that? So be looking for that in a future BeamNG video. And thank you to the Base 1904 for bringing that up and ultimately turning it into a suggestion. I appreciate that very much. And I want to say thank you guys. I'm just kind of scrolling through here real quick. I want to thank you guys, everyone who comes by and watches whatever video brings you into the channel and hopefully keeps you on the channel. But even if not, if this is your first time watching and you're like, what is this crazy old man doing? And you're still here watching, thank you so much. If you've been here and you hopped on the channel and you decided to watch several videos or a video and you decided to subscribe, thank you so much. And I mean that sincerely. It amazes me that we're at almost 4,000 subscribers. And I mean, that's all you guys. I have nothing to do with that. And I appreciate it so much. And I know I've talked about this before, but I've got to send out a major thank you to Neological for mentioning that he found a particular map because he watched one of my videos. And that means a whole lot that he would take the time to share that information out. He didn't have to. He could have just showed the map and called it good, and there it is, and nobody would know the difference. I wouldn't have known that that's where he got it. But it means a lot to me that he took the time to specifically say, hey, this is where I found this information, and then to recommend that that you guys come over and see what's going on. And the feedback that I've gotten from those of you that have found me through Neological has been phenomenal. I mean, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it so much. Just awesome stuff. So let's talk about the fact that I didn't do a Let's Talk last week. As many of you know, I'm sure, the week leading up to last week, they had the shooting in Florida. And I was definitely not ready to talk about that on that Sunday after it happened. And by the same token, I realized I didn't have to talk about it at all. I could just bypass the whole thing and you just keep going. But the truth is, that's not me. Here's one of the things that I want to talk about. And really, in a way, this doesn't have anything to do with what happened in Florida specifically, but something I'd like you to think about. Whenever you are having a discussion with someone, I hope as you're making your argument, one, that you take time to think about what it is you want to say. I know a lot of times, and I'm way guilty of this, a lot of times we pop off and we say the first thing that pops into our head. But ideally, one of the things that I was told was that I should count to 10 before posting and or saying anything. I'll be honest, usually I can make it to about 3, and then I'm throwing it out there. But whatever you're discussing, my recommendation is in my pleading here is that you stay on topic. Okay, so if you're talking about gun control, whether you're for it or against it, stay on that topic. If you're talking about gun control and the topic of conversation is about how many lives are lost or how many lives aren't lost, or what have you, bringing in outside data means nothing to that conversation. By that I mean, a lot of folks I have seen during that conversation want to bring in, well, yeah, but drunk driving kills this many people, or such and such kills this many people, or so and so. That is irrelevant to the conversation. That doesn't matter. If the topic of conversation is gun control and what guns are doing or not doing, that's the conversation. The rest of it doesn't matter. Likewise, if you are talking about alcohol abuse, drunk driving, all that kind of stuff, then by that same token, gunplay doesn't come into that conversation. Unless, of course, the conversation is talking about drunk people with guns. Okay, I know it gets all muddy and weird, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. Try to stay on topic. And if you are having a discussion with someone and they continually throw in irrelevant conversation, the first thing I recommend is address that and say, hey, thanks for your input, but that's not relevant to this conversation. That's a conversation for another topic. Let's stick to the topic at hand. That immediately will trigger some people. Whatever. Also remember that you are free to leave a conversation, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's texting, whether it's on the phone. You are free to leave a conversation anytime you choose. When you decide you've had enough for whatever reason, the person you feel is being unreasonable, they're not actually taking true part in the conversation, they keep using diversionary tactics so that they don't have to talk about the conversation, step away. Just walk away from it, call it good, and forget it. It's just not worth it, okay? Here's what I'm going to say about Florida. In terms of firearms in the United States of America, we need what I call an "and" solution, and that is we need a solution to address the access to weapons. That's not the only part of the equation. You also have the users. And there are people out there who have psychological and emotional problems who don't need to be in possession of a lethal weapon. So this is where the "and" comes in. We need to do something about access, and we need to do something about mental health, and we need to do whatever. I believe the solution is "and." It's not one thing that's going to help solve the issue of using these particular weapons, against each other, against other human beings. There's an "and" solution. We have to work on this from a multifaceted angle. I happen to believe that one child lost to gunfire is one child lost too many to gunfire. And I'm not a person who says ban all guns. I don't believe that's a solution. I also don't believe it's a realistic solution. What's not been happening is really the problem. The fact that this type of thing keeps happening and we haven't learned anything is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is the problem with this type of conversation is I'm the one talking and you don't get to respond until you leave a comment. And I even debated bringing this up at all, because I don't like the one-sidedness of this, and I can't communicate in the short period of time that we have everything that needs to be communicated. And in fact, a lot of this was probably edited before you even get to see it. So just because there's so much to cover, so much to do. All I can say is this. I just hope that at some point we are able to come together and find a multifaceted solution to the problem we have of our children being killed. I hope we're able to do that. So there you go. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you so much if you stayed through that whole conversation. I am a saved, God-fearing Christian believer. I believe that when I die, I'm going to heaven. I would love for you to be there. And so, if you're interested in talking about that, by all means, you can leave that down in a comment below, and we can connect and discuss that. By the same token, if that's not your thing, I'm not here to bash you about it. That's you. You do you. I'm doing me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can coexist with completely different belief systems. That's called being human. It's called adulting. Whether or not you are age-wise an adult, if you are able to respect another person who has completely different views than you do, that you are 99% further down the road than a lot of other folks. And really, when it's all said and done, especially, here on the channel, we're playing games, man. We're having fun. Hopefully you're having fun. We're playing games. But there you go. So I've said a whole lot to munch on, lot to think about. You may not want to respond right away, and that's perfectly fine. You might not want to respond at all. That's also perfectly fine. Feel free to take some time if you want to, and if you want to respond. If you don't, that's fine. The only thing that I ask is that you refrain from using F-bombs in the comments. Those will not be tolerated. I'll delete the comment. I don't care if it's good, bad, ugly. You could say, you are F-word right, man. You right. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. I just and I also don't. There are a lot of other words that I don't particularly care for. But if you're able to express your thoughts, your feelings, then feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. So there you go. Got any other questions, problems, suggestions, horror stories? Feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying these Let's Talk episodes. And again, anything, let me know down in the comments. We'll get it on there. We'll talk about it. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.